Hi, my name is Ali Longacre, and today I am here to discuss my honors thesis research with you all. My research was done within the psychology department here at Austin College and was done in the field of social psychology and more specifically in the area of interpersonal relationships. So I'm going to be talking to you about my results and my background of my study and essentially why I wanted to study this topic. And the title of my paper is Physical Attractiveness, Similarity or Dissimilarity in Romantic Relationship Quality. So a little bit of background on my research. My research started with the idea of the matching hypothesis, which is that individuals will partner with someone who they perceive to be of their same level of attractiveness when looking for a romantic partner. And there are multiple different theories and ideas that go into why this is the case, one of which is the level of aspiration theory, which states that when making a realistic social choice, individuals will choose to date people who are of approximately the same level of social desirability as themselves. Another theory is equity theory, which states that individuals choose to be in relationships with those who are of their same level of attractiveness by a way of avoiding inequity within the relationship. However, despite the plausibility of the matching hypothesis and all of the data that supports it, there are also researchers that have found that the matching hypothesis is not actually the case. Some research has found that people prefer to be in relationships with others of the highest level of attractiveness possible, regardless of their own attractiveness status, and that if people do end up matching with someone of their same level of attractiveness, it is because they had to settle after failure at matching with these said highly attractive individuals. And this is essentially what is known as premarital bargaining, which states that initially in courtship formation, individuals attempt to bargain to get the most attractive partner possible in proportion to their own investments of physical attractiveness. So attractiveness on relationship quality is essentially what I am looking at in my paper, and there is not quite as much research done on this topic. The research that has been done states that when someone makes positive illusions of a partner's physical attractiveness, so this means that they subjectively rate their partner positively regarding their attractiveness status, has found to be positively correlated with levels of commitment, intimacy, passion, satisfaction, and quality within their relationships. And this is related to what is known as the love is blind bias. That states that when you subjectively rate your partner higher on physical attractiveness, that you will have higher quality relationships just because of these positive perceptions. Other research has found that higher self-perceptions of physical attractiveness could actually hurt relationship process and be detrimental to certain aspects of one's relationship, resulting in lower relationship quality. This is essentially related to fears of extra relationship involvement and increases in jealousy within a relationship. Another study found that women with high BMIs and low self-perceptions of attractiveness ended up reporting lower relationship satisfaction and quality, as well as also partnered with individuals who they perceived to be less attractive than themselves. These partners of theirs also reported their partner, so the female, to be of lower attractiveness and a low match to their attractiveness ideals. And this is important because this relates to what is known as the ideal standards model, which suggests that individuals who perceive their partner or their relationship to be a close match to their ideal partner or relationship on a variety of aspects tend to be more satisfied with their relationship. So as you can see, the findings regarding the matching hypothesis seem to be very inconsistent up to this point. And there's also little research that directly assesses what I am looking at, which is similarity or dissimilarity in attractiveness directly affecting relationship quality. So this is why essentially that I have decided to go this route for my research. So the question that I am proposing is, Does a subjectively perceived match or mismatch, and whether that mismatch is an individual perceiving themselves to be more physically attractive or less physically attractive than their partner, predict romantic relationship quality? And my hypothesis, which is based off of all the literature that I have read, is that individuals who perceive a mismatch in attractiveness between themselves and their partner, regardless of whether they perceive their partner to be more or less attractive than themselves, will report lower relationship quality. And in turn, this means that I believe that people who perceive a match in attractiveness between themselves and their partner will report higher relationship quality. So on to my actual study. So I conducted my study through Amazon MTurk, and I was able to get 340 participants, and there were two qualifications for being in my study, one of which I'm sure you could expect is you had to be in a romantic relationship at the time of taking my study. And the second one, a little bit more unexpected, is you had to be born and raised in the United States. And this is because in all of Heine's cultural psychology research, he has found that the matching phenomenon is only commonly seen in Western cultures. So for the sake of my current study, I did not want to risk any confounding variables, and I think that this could be an interesting topic in the future, but for this preliminary study, I wanted to only have participants from where the matching phenomenon has been seen. So the majority of my participants were heterosexual at 78.2%. The majority were male at 59.1%. The majority were white at 58.8%. And the average age of participants was 33.14. And the average length of relationship was 80.54 months, which comes out to about 6.7 years. However, you can see that this data was only computed for 183 of the participants, and this is because only 183 of my 340 participants gave a valid answer. So for example, some participants just wrote 6 instead of specifying whether that was weeks, months, years, etc. And I didn't want to risk contaminating my data essentially. So this is all of the measures that I used in my study. I assessed subjective perceptions of physical attractiveness by asking the participants from a scale of 1 to 9 how they would rate their own physical attractiveness and how they would rate their partner's physical attractiveness. I measured relationship quality with the satisfaction subscale of the investment model scale. And so the satisfaction subscale was in turn my dependent variable. And I also included the quality of alternatives and commitment subscales as other essentially aspects of a relationship that could factor into relationship quality. I also looked at I used the perceived relationship quality components inventory to assess other aspects of relationships, including intimacy, trust, passion, and love. And I included Buss's preferences for mate characteristics scale. And this wasn't really necessarily involved in my dependent variable and assessing physical attractiveness, but it was in case I did not find significant results regarding physical attractiveness on relationship quality. I wanted to see if there was another aspect of mate characteristics essentially that would have an effect on relationship quality. And lastly, I measured jealousy through the multidimensional jealousy scale because as I mentioned earlier, jealousy can greatly affect or has been shown to greatly affect or influence relationship quality in previous studies. So I used cognitive, emotional, and behavioral subscales of jealousy. And now onto my actual data. So this is a summary of correlations between variables and relationship quality. And as you can see, my results were pretty exciting. Just from this preliminary analysis, most of my variables showed significant correlations at either the 0.01 level or the 0.05 level. Similarity and behavioral jealousy were only marginally significant at just this correlational level. and quality of alternatives was the only one that was not significant. But as you can see, all of my other variables showed significance. So just on this surface level analysis, this was very exciting, but I'm about to show you my multiple regression analysis, which is a more comprehensive analysis. And I did not include the investment model scale quality of alternatives measure because I did not find significance at this level here. So this is the summary of my multiple regression analysis for variables predicting relationship quality. And this was where I got really excited because, as you can see, attractiveness, similarity did significantly predict relationship quality. So individuals who perceived more of a match and attractiveness between themselves and their partner did in fact report higher relationship quality, which is also what I hypothesized. So that was really exciting for me, and I'm very happy about that. And as you can see, other aspects that showed positive or significant results here was the behavioral jealousy, intimacy, trust, mate characteristics, and commitment. So this was all really exciting. And I also would like to note that the way I calculated similarity of attractiveness was subtracting the rating that the person gave themselves and their partner rating and subtracting one from the other in order to get a single value to which I could assess attractiveness similarity. So in conclusion, my findings were really exciting for me because, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of data on the matching hypothesis in itself, but there is not really a lot of data that assesses perceptions of similarity or dissimilarity in physical attractiveness on relationship quality. And so from what I can find, this is really one of the first studies to directly look at this relationship. And my findings, because I'm not looking at what individuals prefer necessarily, do they prefer a more attractive partner or a less attractive partner, or a partner who is similar to themselves? I'm simply looking at what will get you a higher quality relationship. My findings don't necessarily show support for the matching hypothesis or equity theory or the ideal standards model, but I think that my findings show that following one of these models in your own relationship choices might be preferable to end up with a higher quality relationship. So if your ideal standard for a partner, for example, is a standard that is close to your own physical attractiveness, you may have a higher quality relationship than if your standard is having someone who is much higher or lower than you in physical attractiveness. The limitations of my study was that my current calculations, unfortunately, do not show perceptions of relationship quality when an individual perceives themselves to be higher or lower on attractiveness than they perceive their partner to be. And this is actually something that I'm going to continue working on. I plan to make some more calculations and figure out how to find if what is the case in this scenario. This is just something that I have not been able to accomplish yet, but it is something that I definitely want to find out because I think this could really add on to my research and my findings, and again, find more support for possibly matching hypothesis or ideal standards model, etc. Another limitation, like I mentioned, was that only 183 of my 340 participants provided a valid answer regarding the length of their romantic relationship. I think having a more comprehensive number for that would have been a little bit better. Obviously, I probably should have framed that question more specifically, looking back on it. And then lastly, I obviously was using subjective reports, so self-report measures, and this can always cause limitations and certain biases as people, my measures were not objective. People were able to self-report what they perceived. So future questions that I think research should look at, or I myself could possibly look at if I have the chance to do more research, is I think that the ideal standards model should be tested. So is the individual's partner a match to their ideal partner, regarding level of attractiveness when they report that they have higher quality relationships. So if I reframe this, I'm saying that these people who I found to be similar in attractiveness and report high relationship quality, is their partner actually their ideal partner, or did they settle? So that leads to my next question. Are these findings the result of premarital bargaining? So did these people only settle for this match in attractiveness because they could not get a partner who was significantly higher in attractiveness than themselves? And then lastly, this question is what I just discussed a little bit. Do the individuals in the current data set who perceive themselves to be a mismatch in attractiveness with their partner, either higher or lower, perceive their higher or lower relationship quality? And I hope to be able to give you all this answer very soon. So we will see about that. These are my references. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed my presentation and enjoyed my research. I want to say thank you to Matthew Finley for being my mentor and helping me throughout this whole process. And let me know if you have any questions about my research. Thank you.